wrong. And this is the difference between what poor people think and what wealthier people think. The news company PBS recently published a YouTube video under their channel 2 Cents, which in case you didn't know is a professional PBS production, titled How Eating Out Keeps You Poor. Well, today we're going to watch it together and we're gonna break apart what they got right, what they got wrong, and what they missed.
Hey folks, know what you want?
Yes, I'd like to eat the down payment on a house with a side of flambéed emergency fund.
Ooh, excellent choice. And for you, sir?
I'm pretty hungry, so I'm going to have our retirement savings and, what the heck, a bottle of our daughter's college tuition.
Ooh.
Very good.
Do you think we spend too much on dining out?
Maybe, but everyone else is doing it. Besides, what's the alternative? Cooking at home?
First thing here, did you notice the girl kind of putting her finger around the rim of the glass? Okay, that is something Lauren and I do as well, because it makes that funny ooh sound when you do it real fast. Sorry. This starts out with a lot of hyperbole. It starts off with, hey, oh my gosh, we're gonna spend the down payment on our house. Hey, you know what? Well, why are we not going out? Everyone else is doing it. First of all, I understand the part about the down payment of the house just being a blatant exaggeration, but the statement, everybody else is doing it, is not something I think any single human being ever says when they go out to dinner. You go out because you don't want to cook.
21% of Americans have no retirement savings, and another 10% have less than $5,000. It's even bleaker for millennials. Nearly 6 in 10 have nothing saved at all.
The easiest possible way somebody could save for retirement, my opinion, look, I'm not trying to sell you a house or something, but if every single person owned a house, guess what happens? You're forced to pay off the debt on your house every single month, and at some point that property is paid off. At some point, you don't have a housing payment anymore, or you have a significantly smaller one because you're just paying property taxes and insurance. So if somebody bought a house for $2,500 a month all in, and somebody rented for $2,500 per month, that rent's gonna keep going up every single year. As inflation happens, rent goes up. That housing payment barely goes up. There's a reason why the average net worth of a tenant is $5,600 and the average net worth of homeowners is $196,000. Guaranteed, all of these people with no retirement savings do not own any real estate.
Now, there are a lot of reasons for this. The increasing cost of housing, health insurance, and of course, student.
There you go, the increasing cost of housing. If you owned, you wouldn't be subject to so many increases.
Those costs are relatively fixed. If you're looking for practical areas to cut back, one sticks out like a fly in your soup: dining out.
In 2015, for the first time in history, Americans spent more money on bars and restaurants than on groceries.
They're suggesting that because, for example, your housing cost is fixed, you have no opportunities over here, that instead you should focus on food? You're not gonna become a millionaire doing that. You know what? Here's the problem with them. Let me pull this up. Here's another video these people did where they talk about should you buy a house, and the first thing that really kills me about their video is they're making a video educating people on real estate, yet they write principal payments that way. It's principal payments. Why? Because paying off your loan is your pal. It's your friend. It's principal. Never get that wrong again. Please, 2 cents. If you watch this video, fix that. But the second thing they do is they make you feel bad about home ownership by comparing what it's going to cost to sell the property when you move. Yet, it doesn't seem to enter their minds that you could rent the property out and build wealth in 2 properties now. In fact, think of people who are retired that own no real estate. Usually, they don't got lots of money. And now think of people who own at least 1 rental property. That's their house and just 1 other property. Usually their wealth is way higher. Just a quick note, in case you want more of my perspectives in our private groups, make sure to join the real estate investing course, real estate agent course, or meet me in the in-person crash courses. Miami, San Francisco, Charlotte, and Vegas are next. Use coupon code 10XTheFed for 22% off, ending September 30th.
With the average household now spending more than $3,000 annually on food away from home, representing between between 5 and 7% of their total spending. The average diner is still eating out around 5 times a week.
How much is this costing us? Well, restaurants typically mark up their food by around 300%, meaning the price on the menu is about 3 times what they actually spent on the food.
Of course there's markup. They have employees, they have to pay insurance, they have to pay workers' comp, but just because there's markup on food doesn't mean you shouldn't go out. In fact, I'm gonna make this argument here. I have a feeling where this is going is, hey, if you save the difference, you'll be a lot wealthier. But guess what's probably true for most people? If instead of trying to save this extra $12 or whatever, you took an extra hour and dedicated it to what you're a professional at, to your job, get an hour of overtime, get an hour of extra work into sales, get an hour working on an extra bit of your education to learn more, to learn how to build wealth more, the ROI on spending that money on yourself or in the job you're a profession in would way outpace cooking your own freaking food. Now, by no means am I saying go eat out every single meal of every single day. In fact, I have this silly habit where every single morning I have the same bowl of cereal, every single lunch I have the same homemade sandwich, and every single dinner I have the same chicken meal. I just get into this habit, it's easy for me. Yes, eating at home is smart, but that's not gonna stop me from going out with Lauren on dates, because guess what happens when I go out with Lauren or friends or other people? I get motivated to complete all my stuff that day because it's like, oh, I gotta get ready for my event tonight or hanging out with people, so I get motivated to get my work done faster, which makes me more money. And the second thing that happens is usually when I spend time with other people, I get more creative and I come up with better ideas to, again, make more money. So I actually kind of look at going out, as long as it's not bankrupting me because I'm doing it for every single meal, as a way to motivate me and build more wealth.
If that seems like a lot, remember, you're also paying for the restaurant's rent, labor, equipment, and overhead. So if you live in an area where real estate values are increasing, that also applies to the surface area of your local restaurant's tabletops.
And that doesn't even include drinks. A survey by Zagat found that the average restaurant bill per person is over $36. If you do this just 3 times a week, that's over $5,600 a year. By contrast, the average meal cooked at home with groceries from the market is about $4 a person.
I mean, I think $4 per person is assuming you're probably cooking for a family, because if you're cooking for yourself, that $4 might go up, but let's just say the $4 is accurate depending on what you're cooking. I mean, if you're cooking broccoli and freaking noodles like that, and you don't got any salmon or chicken on there, fine, maybe that's right.
Let's say Jake here goes out for dinner 3 times a week, spending $35 each time. He starts every workday with a latte and croissant at his local coffee shop and buys lunch at the local food court 4 days a week. Friday.
See, this is where I thought this was gonna have to head. Take somebody like Jake, who apparently doesn't get free food from his workplace, apparently doesn't bring food from home, apparently doesn't make his coffee at home when he wakes up and leaves, instead he gets his latte and croissant every day. First of all, if that were true, Jake ain't gonna be skinny. Jake gonna be fat eating the buttery croissant every single freaking day. And then eating and paying for lunch every day and restaurant meals 3 times. I don't know.
In 1 year, he spent over $9,000 on commercially prepared food and drinks, over 12% of his yearly salary of $75,000.
Nope, they got that wrong. So I'm actually gonna side with them here. I mean, this is ridiculous, but $9,100 in food expenses if Jake makes $75,000 is not 12% of his income. I know you might be saying, well, Kevin, $9,100 divided by 75,000 is 12.1%. Yes, but the math is wrong. And this is the difference between what poor people think and what wealthier people think about when it comes to money. Taxes, folks. In order to spend $9,100, if Jake pays about 30% in taxes, he would have to make $13,000 to be able to afford that food. Trump just, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Trump just made it so that even business meals are no longer a tax deduction. So that means Jake has to make $13,000 to spend $9,100 on food, which means $13,000. Jake is actually spending 17%, almost 1/5 of his income on food. Yeah, this is dumb. This is an example of a bad habit. But this would make this video having bad expense and bad money habits keeps you poor. But to say that, oh, because you go out to dinner with your family or your friends and you have drinks or whatever keeps you poor. No, most people, that's called living. That's called life. That gives you purpose and reason. And me, it actually helps me get my work done and creates more creativity.
What if Jake could get those 3 dinners down to just 1 a week? And what if he started making coffee and breakfast at home and brown bagged lunches at work? Assuming that all those homemade meals would come out to around $5 each.
But to me, this is much more normal. And people probably watching this video are like, yeah, that's me. So they're gonna do a probably, difference math here. Oh, well, this is how much they would have saved, and look how much if they invested this. Get it? That doesn't help people who are already doing this. If you're already living your life this way, and you still don't have wealth, then food isn't your problem. It's how much you're bringing in, how much wealth you're building is the problem.
That would mean a yearly savings of $4,420. That's enough for a Hawaiian vacation.
But wait, we're not done. What if Jake took those yearly savings and put them into an account earning 7% compound interest? In just 10 years, he'd have over $65,000, enough for a down payment on a house.
Whoa. They said down payment on a house. Hold on, that's where I come in. Hold on. Most people don't start with $65,000 when they buy a house. Most people start with 10% or 5% down on a $250,000 property. That, in case you don't want to do the math, is under $25,000 or under $12,000 to get into home ownership and real estate. Maybe that's a condo, maybe that's a townhouse, maybe it's a small house. But even that, if you could find a $250,000 place that you buy and is worth $300,000 after you buy it, wouldn't that be something everybody should aspire to do? Bingo, that's exactly what I teach on this channel and in the course, how to do that.
Even a small cutback in dining out could allow you to finally pay off an onerous debt.
A small cutback, they literally went from eating out breakfast, lunch, and dinner to eating out like once. That's not a small cutback. It's from always eating out to barely eating out. An extreme cutback. But not only is it an extreme cutback, it starts with an extreme example.
If you're eating out because you don't have time to cook at home, well, the problem might be a lack of preparation. After all, brewing a pot of coffee and toasting a bagel can be less time consuming than waiting in a Starbucks line.
You could ease yourself into it by utilizing ingredient or grocery delivery services like...
Seriously, grocery delivery services like Blue Apron? This is like, no, this is like the opposite. No, it's so expensive. I mean, to me, it's so simple to buy boxes of cereal that when I go buy boxes of cereal, I just buy 20 of the same freaking thing at the same time. I spend a little bit more money to get the Horizon organic milk because its shelf life is like 3 times as long as the slightly cheaper milk. I also buy like 7 loaves of bread at a time and I freeze them so I could just take out an extra loaf when I need it. Any other dry goods, we just bulk order from Target and they show up. So if I want peanuts, we bulk order them from Target. Yeah, I have to obviously buy fresh meats from the grocery store, but Blue Apron Instacart, no, so way expensive. We've looked into that too, just way too expensive. And the funny thing about those too is you're still taking out a pan, you're still cooking, and you're still having to clean all the crap. That's why I like cereal and sandwiches. Don't even get me started on almond butter.
We like to use cash at the supermarket to stay within a budget, but if you're trying to incentivize yourself, you could look into a credit card that gives rewards for grocery purchases.
At least they mentioned the credit card cashback rewards. I was about to lose it. Using cash at the grocery store, I think, is a terrible idea because it's actually a harder way to budget and keep track of your grocery expenses, because with cash, you have to keep all your receipts rather than just seeing them electronically come up on your statement. So to me, I actually have an easier time budgeting because I use a credit card and I can see Trader Joe's, Ralph's, Kroger, whatever. It's a lot easier to categorize. And now, while I'm not suggesting you go buy at Whole Foods, obviously, if you're purchasing things at Whole Foods, use the 5% off Amazon card. If you're buying at Target, use the 5% off credit card with Target. If you're buying at a regular grocery store, consider using the American Express Gold card, which will give you 4% off on groceries. Or if you really want to be a pro, use the American Express Cash Preferred card, which gives you 6% back on groceries up to, I believe, $6,000. That's $500 a month in expenses. Now, that card does have a $95 fee, but you can get a bonus which will give you $250 in cash back after you spend a certain amount on the card within the first whatever period of time. That should cover the fee for you for 2.5 years. And 6% back on groceries, depending on how much you spend on groceries, should also more than compensate you for that card. And if you want the absolutely most stress-free option, just pay with your Apple Card using Apple Pay. Most grocery stores take Apple Pay. Use the Apple Card, get 2% back. Even if you have like a 580 credit score, people are leaving me comments left and right that they are getting approved for the Apple credit card with no or bad credit.
Always a good idea to keep some convenience foods like microwavable dinners in your freezer. That way, on days that you really don't feel like cooking, you'll have an alternative to stopping for takeout or ordering in.
That is good advice.
There still might be ways to achieve that with less spending. For instance, you can share an entree. Restaurant portions are typically much larger than the average diner's appetite because it makes it easier for businesses to justify high prices. If you're there for the service and atmosphere, you can get that without overeating to the point of discomfort or leaving uneaten food behind.
That's also good advice. I split almost every single time I go out for food. Now, the video ends with them making some suggestions like bringing your own alcohol to the restaurant, which usually is a bad idea because then you have to pay corking fees, or going to ice cream outside of the restaurant instead of paying for their ice cream at the restaurant. This is great, but honestly, what bothers me the most about this entire video, aside from, look, some of the things they say are good, some of the things that they say are silly, they've missed some things. The biggest thing that bothers me is the premise that simply eating out is what keeps people poor. No, that's usually not it at all. Overall, I don't think their advice is bad. I think there are just some very important things missing. And if we're talking about staying poor versus building wealth, I don't know that they nailed it.